Good afternoon and welcome to the Living Well program. You can find us here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on KATB 89.3 right here in Anchorage or KJLP 88.9 in Palmer, as well as you have the ability to listen online at katb.org. My name is Cammie and I'm here with my co-host Betty. Hi, Betty.
Hello.
How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good.
Good. We are here in the studio today with our guest for the day, Heidi and Sheri with the Crisis Pregnancy Center. Welcome to Living Well.
Thank you. Thanks for having us today.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. It is our pleasure. Ladies, if one of you could just take a turn and tell us and let our audience get to know you today. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Mom, wife, kids. Give us the stats.
Well, I'm Heidi Navarro. I'm with the Pregnancy Center. I've been there about 11 years. I'm a wife of 10 years to my husband, Hector. I have two children, Christopher and Socorro, ages 24 and 21. And I'm here today.
Excellent. Fantastic. And Sheri?
And my name is Sheri Schmitz. I've been married for 20 years, and we have three children. They are 19, 17, and 15. And I've been involved with Community Pregnancy Center since my 19-year-old was on my hip, in one way or another.
That's a long time.
I want to ask you, and either one of you just feel free to jump in and answer, or both of you answer if you'd like, but can you really point to a time in your life that drove you towards this passion to be involved with the Crisis Pregnancy Center? And tell us a little bit about that time.
Yeah, I've told this story often. So I grew up in the church, and my family, certainly studied the Word a lot. Both my father and mother were just really great followers of Christ. And so really early on, especially in the early, probably the late 70s, early 80s, I remember the topic of abortion coming up. And of course, in the church setting, we often just referred to how wrong it was. And, we had to protect life. And I just remember grappling with some of those issues and having some conversations with my mom. Probably I was about 13 years old, probably late 70s. And so fast forward to my college years. I had a roommate who got pregnant our senior year in college. And boyfriend didn't want to have anything to do with it. Her parents, who were actually really active in their church, were devastated, and the mom is the one that pressured her into an abortion. And I just remember having so many conversations with her, just begging her to not do it. And all I could say to her was, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's a sin. You can't do it. It's wrong. And I just remember thinking, I've got to come up with something more than just it's wrong, because she's hurting here. And at the time, I don't think there was a CPC in the town that we lived in. And so her mom took her, and she had that abortion. And fast forward, when I began having kids, probably 10 years later, I just remember thinking, I want to do something, because we as a church have to be able to say something to women who find themselves in this situation other than just it's wrong. Mm-hmm. They know it's wrong. So
to make a little bit more, not a little bit, but a lot more informed decision
right
surrounding that time. Heidi, what would you say if you could think back to a time that drove you towards this ministry?
I think similar to Sheri, I grew up in a missionary home, and so the value of life was always instilled. But similar, sex was wrong, unplanned pregnancies were wrong, but yet we love life. And it just always kind of was conflicting to me. And then in my personal life, I fell away from the Lord, and I made poor decisions. But out of those decisions, babies happen. And my heart has always been very soft to women going through those decisions and life. Life is tough, and I just, I want to be a cheerleader. I felt God's called me to do that, so that's where my heart is.
Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing that. It's always nice to know, what God's work is behind the scenes and what drove us to the ministries that we serve in, so I appreciate you sharing. Betty?
How do the girls find you, or do they make appointments? Do they just walk in? Is it through referrals?
It's mostly word of mouth, unfortunately. We are very creative with our advertising, and we've had a marked increase in reaching those girls, but friends tell their friends, which is actually a great testimony to how we treat people. And a lot of those girls are accompanied with their boyfriends. They haven't had a lot of conversations. They've had a lot of time kind of partying and things like that, but they've never really sat down and talked together. And just to help them have that opportunity to let's cast our reel in the future and let's see what's happening and projecting and things like that is kind of exciting. And so,
Can you describe what an appointment would be like? I imagine a 16-year-old girl coming in, she thinks she's pregnant, scared, maybe crying. What would happen to her after she walked through the doors? What would she be facing?
oh, sure. She would just come to our reception area, just like a normal, typical office. You'd fill out intake paperwork, and then you would be greeted by a peer counselor, and she would take you back, and you would just kind of talk. It's a very relaxed setting. There's not really an agenda. The only things that we really need to cover are, let's do your pregnancy test. And so we talk about the situation surrounding the pregnancy. And then we would also just talk about her feelings about pregnancy and her support group. And just about what she plans to do with that pregnancy as well. But that's a lot for her to take in at those very early stages of pregnancy. So just helping her kind of identify people in her circle that would be a good help. And so if she takes her pregnancy test and it's positive, then we look at what can we do to find you resources. And we look at the things going on around her that might make her feel, I can't continue this. Or we look at things that we can help her maybe talk to her parents. We're very pro-family as well. And if that's not an option, then some other adult in her life.
I just have to say too, I don't work directly with clients. I work in the background doing some marketing and funding things. And so I really get a front row view of when clients walk in and they interact with the staff, Heidi and her staff and the volunteers. And I'm always surprised and I'm really so thankful that when they come in, they appear nervous, but when they leave, they've taken a deep breath and they know that they're in a much better position. And I just really credit that to Heidi and the training that she provides for the volunteers. It's a different place. And so many times I hear comments made that the clients feel at home there. And I think that's important, especially when they're trying to make one of those decisions.
I've been down there several times for different meetings, and when you moved into your new building, I just wanted to see what it looked like, and I will have to agree with you, Sheri. It's a very warm, very loving environment. Very, very kind ladies down there. Very kind and very welcoming. No judgment. No one is cast any kind of judgment. They're just all very loving and kind. I was wondering, have you ever had a situation where parents came with their daughter?
Quite often. And so in those situations, you want the daughter to have a voice, and we want mom to have a voice. And just so having a time with everybody just to kind of, mom's world's been, taken in a different direction, and all of a sudden she's facing something for her little girl she didn't realize was going to be. And so, but just the baby's not the end of the world, but all the other things that are going on, just to help them, just to navigate that and not make people feel judged, like Betty said.
And you do ultrasounds, correct?
Correct, we do.
At what time?
We try to do it 6 weeks gestational age to 13 weeks.
I would imagine that seeing the picture of the baby has a profound impact.
It does.
On the girls, on the moms.
Seeing a picture of their baby.
Yes. What about the dads, the father of the baby? Do the boyfriends or the fathers ever come in with the girls?
Oh, quite often. And when they schedule ultrasound and come back for that, it's they've already been told baby's fetal development, your baby's heart's beating. We give that baby a heartbeat right when they walk in. This is your baby. This is a life. And that just affirms what they've already heard. And it's just a huge impact. And it's kind of neat when you see them both tear up. And so a lot of people just don't know that that is a baby, and it develops every week. And so to show them that's pretty exciting.
Do you offer counseling before the baby is born as well to the mom and the daughter? I know you do afterwards, but do you provide it before?
Oh, we have our education program.
Okay. And what does that include?
Oh, so if a couple decides they want to parent, they can take parenting classes. And this is a great program. And so she'll come in and she'll meet one-on-one with another mentor. And we really try our best to have her meet with the same person each time. We want her to build a relationship with that person. We want that person to have her ear to the ground. How is she feeling? How is she doing? And she comes in throughout her pregnancy and then about 4 to 5 months afterwards. And so there's about 13, 14 sessions. And she learns a lot of really neat skills, getting down on the floor with your baby, car seat safety, nutrition, what to expect at during your doctor's appointments when you're pregnant. Just really, really good things. And then she earns baby bucks, and she gets to shop at our store. And so she can earn baby bucks by going to her doctor's appointments. We're running a Bible study because we're holistic care. We want to take care of everybody, spiritually and physically. And she earns baby bucks for that. And then she gets to get everything she needs for the nursery. And then we have a dad's program too. And that's one-on-one
Really?
with another man. And that's 5 sessions.
So you have a store in your building?
We do.
And what is in your store?
Lots of really nice things.
Yes, I have been in there. It is full
Yeah.
of anything you could imagine for a baby, but you also carry clothes for the mom, right?
We do. We are really blessed in our community. Women, after they have their babies, they'll bring in their maternity clothes, and they're hardly used because they have to wear them just for a short period of time.
Sure.
Or their baby clothes. And she's able to feel good about herself, look good, and not be uncomfortable. She's able to provide for her baby, and she earned those things. And it's become its own little community. We have girls, gosh, they used the program years ago, and they're still donating to the program for further babies. Life's calmed down, but we're still a part of their world. They want us to see their new children. They want to talk to us. They want to know if the other counselor is there who saw them. And that, the center's done a good thing when you're part of someone's little world. And so
One of the things I like about that program, the Earn While You Learn program that Heidi was speaking of, is that really is where a lot of the discipleship takes place. Ultimately, what prompted this ministry to begin 30 years ago was, our need for the church to step into this abortion issue and to offer practical solutions, but ultimately really to introduce people to Jesus Christ. And a lot of times, we always take every opportunity that presents itself in the counseling room, but a lot of times because we're in crisis mode in there, they're not ready to hear. But when life has calmed down and they're going through this Earn While You Learn, that's really where you begin to see the transformation change and them understand the love that God has for them through Jesus, which is really ultimately what we're all trying to do here.
Can anyone donate to your store? Will you take anyone's used clothing?
Yes, so I believe we take up to size 2T, diapers, formula, strollers, car seats need to be new, cribs need to be new, pack and plays. Those are items that we go through quite a bit, and we try our best. We have a washer and dryer on site. We have some volunteers that come in and they wash everything, all the donated items. We hang up the best items, and everything else is passed on to other people that can use those. So when they come in, it really is a really nice looking store, and they're choosing from nice items. There's nothing ripped or stained. And so we try to make it a pleasant experience for them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think when they shop, they get the whole store to themselves. Am I right?
yes.
So they're not in there with other people.
Private shopping
Competing
Private
experience.
shopping, yeah.
While we're talking about that, go ahead and tell our listeners where they would bring these items if they wanted to donate such things.
Our building is at 4231 Lake Otis,
Okay.
which is just north of the Walgreens, that new Walgreens at Lake Otis and Tudor.
Is there certain days that they can bring them in?
Monday through Friday from about 9 to 4, and then Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday probably about 10 to 2. But we do have a drop box outside where you can just slide things in there and close it up if you happen to come after hours. And then, of course, because we're a nonprofit, we can give you a tax-deductible receipt for those donations.
I would imagine that during Christmas, there's organizations that would kind of adopt the CPC to maybe donate blankets or hats and booties for babies. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we've had different churches and different organizations have done things at different times, but people, we have several organizations that like to will host a baby shower for us. One of the things we have lots of I call them grannies, but actually there's quite a few young people do that are knitting the booties. We try to give every client that walks in after her first appointment a set of baby booties just to help her give a tangible reminder of what's going on. And so those are really precious to be able to hand them something that someone has made specifically for that purpose.
What a cute idea. I am sure there's somebody out there listening that would love to host a baby shower. Tell us a little bit about that and how that could take place. That is really cute.
We've had classrooms do it, at a couple of local schools.
Oh, okay.
We've had churches do it, just in their women's ministry or their children's ministry. But it's just a matter of either doing a drive, a diaper drive, or you can put it around some event if you're having a some sort of a women's ministry event and you want to make it about CPC, then you can have everybody bring some formula diapers or baby clothes or things like that.
And the girls pay nothing for this, correct? This is they
Everything
earn
is free.
It's the earn while you learn program, correct?
Yeah. So what they earn is baby bucks, and then they can then spend their baby bucks. And my understanding is if you start early enough in the program, you can pretty much line up everything you need for mom and baby. You know.
And the dads can do the same thing. If they attend the classes, they can earn money and go in and spend as well.
Yes, and the dads meet with a male facilitator. And we're always looking for additional male facilitators. They're a little bit harder to come by, but we do have a couple of really great ones that meet with our dads. Anything that we can do to keep that family unit together, we're working towards doing.
Are you always looking for volunteers for CPC? And how could someone volunteer? Maybe I should ask.
They can volunteer in numerous ways. We just talked about the baby cash. Of course, sorting that's a big ordeal. Just someone even to check recalls. Has this item been recalled and safety issues, as well as in the counseling room. We need peer counselors. The training takes about 3 months, but it's on-the-job training and it's hands-on training. And so for the first part of the training, of course, there's book study and what have you. But then the second part, you're starting to work with a team that you'll be working with when you're here at the center. And then the Earn While You Learn program, if you wanted to be a facilitator with the girl and be paired up with the girl and then increase how many people that you see. We typically, it's 4 hours a week, once a week, and it usually works really well with people's schedules. And we're flexible too, so.
Sure. I want to ask you, what is the average age of the client that you might see there?
18 to 24.
18 to 24.
Yeah. And then it's 16 to 20.
Okay. You mentioned earlier, Sheri, that part of what your passion was that drove you towards this ministry is being able to provide a better answer as the church or as a Christian woman to these women facing this important decision in life. Do you see our church doing a better job at this point?
That's interesting you should say that. I was hoping we would get a chance to talk about that today. A couple of things are going on. We're getting ready to roll out a new church initiative that's coming down through CareNet, which is going to help us create firmer relationships within the church. Here, I'll back up a little bit. Lifeway Christian Research recently announced a study that they did this last year. And one of the most alarming statistics that came out of that I think we probably all knew, but to see it on paper really was alarming, is that 4 of every 10 abortions performed are performed on women who were actively involved in a church at the time of their abortion. And to me, that takes me back to my college roommate and says the church is not doing what the church needs to be doing to offer a place of transparency and safety for women to come forward and say, I'm pregnant. I was reading an article just preparing for my time this morning here before I came, and the author of this article said an unplanned pregnancy is not a sin. And it's not. What caused the unplanned pregnancy is a sin, but the baby itself is not a sin. And so the church has to recognize that, and the way we have treated that in our churches, there's a balance there. But I think too often we have been guilty of shaming the unwed mother for being in that situation, when really the only difference between her life and maybe somebody else, if you're looking at a young girl who's pregnant in youth group, the only difference between her and maybe some of the other girls in youth group is that she's not on the pill, and that's why she's pregnant. So we have to really address the issue of abstinence and sexual risk avoidance with our young people, and the issue of how we treat someone who finds himself in an unplanned pregnancy.
At one time, CPC offered an abstinence program. Do you still have that in place?
That program was a grant program, and they had 2 different federal grants. And when the grant ended, the program kind of ended with the grant. But right now we're currently trying to find volunteers, and we're starting a training to get back into the schools. And we have a training at the end of this month, and there's about 9 people going to that from the center, 2 of them being nurses. And so then the next step would be talking to principals and hopefully and health teachers to get us back into the schools. And it will be for middle schools.
Middle schools?
Yes. Because already there's another organization in there providing sex education, and we feel that we should be in there instead of the reduction model, the avoidance model. So
That
Is
would
this
be
a
great
program that can be
opportunity.
used within the churches and
Yes.
youth groups?
yes,
Yeah, so and I think that we're going to see some of that roll out with this church initiative that we're going to be doing later this year. But that really is, we have to start in the church. We have to address what's going on in the church with premarital sex and the the consequences that can come from that. And so we're hoping that this year we're going to be able to help the church shift the way we approach that topic with our and I don't want to say just young people. I mean it's people in the church.
I feel like it's the mothers that fall apart and the parents. The shame is just horrible for them, and I think it's interesting. The daughter seems to be okay with things, placing for adoption, but the world is going to know. And so it's just to watch her fall apart and crumble. And in your heart of hearts, maybe she might be in a judgmental environment and gossiped about, and she's a Sunday school teacher or whatnot. And so that's really, really tough. And I don't know how that culture can change.
That definitely is a challenge that presents itself, and the weight of that is overwhelming, I can imagine. I've got a 17-and-a-half-year-old daughter myself, and so these things definitely are always on my mind. And I recently got her a new book that we're going through. It's called The Purity Code, but it really addresses the heart of the issue as far as purity is not just about abstinence. It's about purity of thought and purity of heart, and making sure that that message is carried through all of those different avenues to our young girls. And, again, just being better informed of what purity really is instead of just being told no. Having a better discussion and conversation around the topic. So definitely can appreciate that.
I want to switch gears just a little bit. I want to know if you'll talk about your upcoming event.
Sure, we'd love to talk about our upcoming event. Okay, so April 30th, we're going to be having our 29th annual spring tea.
29th.
29 of these
You've done
things.
29 of
29
these.
years.
Yes.
I think I've attended a lot of them.
Yes. And we actually have someone on our tea committee this year who's been to every single one.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And so it's just amazing that she's been to all 30 of them. She's hosted tables, I believe, at 28 of them.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, yeah, we're excited. Cecile Kaiser is our keynote speaker this year, and she has a wonderful story of sharing about her abortion. And she's also a humorist, and so she's going to share her story about how God has used her past abortion really to minister to people today. And just if I could touch back again on the issue of abortion and the secrecy and all people suffering in silence over that. If I look at Cecile's life, our speaker, God has a plan to use everyone's past abortion to minister to somebody. And he never intended you to walk in secrecy and guilt and pain and suffering. And we offer a post-abortion Bible study called Forgiven and Set Free. And we're going to be hearing more about that this coming year too. But if you have had an abortion, or if you know someone who's had an abortion, I strongly encourage you to log on to our website and go to our post-abortion page and get that information. The study we have is completely confidential. We only ask for your first name. It's an 8-week study. But the point I wanted to make is that the Lord wants to offer you healing and forgiveness and help you use that to minister to other people. So
I have to say I have a real good friend that had an abortion many years ago, and she kept it secret for a long, long time. And she married a man, and he became a minister, and she was appalled. She just didn't know how in the world, she didn't understand how she could fill her role as a minister's wife having had an abortion. And when she finally began to talk about it and admit it, it brought much freedom to her life. And then she was able to share her story with other women, and it's helped countless women.
That amazes me. The Lord can redeem anything and write it into part of our story. There's nothing that he can't redeem. And so we really want to promote that message, and that really will be the message of the tea this year. We're hoping that this year will be the year that a lot of women choose to address that past abortion and to find healing and forgiveness. So, so back to the event. It's at Change Point Church on April 30th from 10:30 to 1:30. And typically the way the teas have worked in the past is you purchase a table, and all you get with that table is a table and 8 chairs. And you bring your friends, and you bring your decorations, and you bring your food, and you come and join us for a fun time. There will be a live auction and a silent auction and a little tea shop for you to purchase some things. And it's a great way to invite your friends to come alongside and help support what the Lord's doing through this ministry. And then for those of you who just really feel like there's no way I could do the food and the decoration, we actually have one little avenue for us to do the food for you. There'll be more information coming out on our website about that.
Are tickets available yet?
Tickets are not available. I'm thinking it'll be in about 2 weeks. We should have them ready to go.
And one of the most enjoyable parts, at least for me, is to look at all the tables.
I was going to
They're
say the
always
same thing, Betty.
beautiful.
Yes.
The china, the flowers, and
It is stunning, and it's funny. The first few I worked on were back when Katie was on my hip. 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. I just you would see all these women lugging china and boxes of crystal, and it was a lot of work. And we still have some women that do
Yes.
that, and their tables are beautiful. But fortunately, the manufacturers have come out with some really great, pretty paper products. So anyway, the tables are just as beautiful, but it really is a stunning sight to see 80 different tables all decorated differently with their own theme. It's beautiful.
Well, and I'll just add, coming and looking at these tables is better than spending an hour on Pinterest.
That's
For
right.
sure.
Absolutely.
So
People
come
have
and check
really
these
great
out.
ideas.
Pinterest, here I come.
The creativity,
That's what we
because
can
you
do.
mentioned the fancy, but really there's all aspects of people's
Yes.
creativity that come out, and I'm just floored by people's ability to craft things that they do. So it
And
really is neat.
This year, the theme is royalty, because we're all part of royalty, God's royalty. So yes, so we're excited about that.
So Sheri and Heidi, thank you for being here. How could a lady reach you? How could they contact you? I know if they had questions for you, they could post them on Alaska Christian Women's Facebook page. But if they wanted to contact you directly, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Just to call the center 337-9292 or our website www.cpcanchorage.com, and on there on the appointment line is a place where you can send a message on there as well.
Fantastic. Thank you again so much, Sheri and Heidi, here with us today from the Crisis Pregnancy Center in Anchorage. We appreciate you joining us. We hope that you all will join us next Wednesday at 1 p.m. right here on 88.9 and 89.3, or listen online at katb.org. Thank you for joining us at Living Well.